Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshak here, and we're going to be doing a legendary Disenchant guide for the new Descent of Dragon expansion. I know, it's been a little bit since it released, but I definitely wanted to go over the cards and play with them and see which ones are good and bad before I go ahead and recommend stuff for you guys to do. If I don't have a lot of experience under my belt and don't have hundreds of games played and see what the meta is shaping up to be, it's hard for me to give you guys a really good depiction of like what's a good safe enchant, what's one's not so good enchant. So with that, we're going to go over all of the classes, all of the neutrals, go over the legendaries, explain what decks they're in, explain if there's promise, and to disenchant. From there, we'll probably do an epic disenchant after this. The legendaries is where you guys want it the most because these you get the most dust back from these guys. So first, Goru the Might Tree. This is found in basically only Treant Druid. Treant Druid is not a tier 1 or tier 2 deck. So for those of you who are just, competitive players, you're ballers on a budget, you want to make the best deck with what you have, this guy is not found in any of those decks, and he's only found in a singular deck, and that's going to be Treant Druid, and that's only what he's found in. If you have him, play Treant Druid. If you don't like it, you can go ahead and disenchant him. Like I said, he's not found in any tier 1 or tier 2 decks, and he's only found in that one type of Druid deck. Moving to Ysera, she's currently found in 2 builds. She's found in Embiggen Druid and also like the quest like Value Druid or Value Dragon Druid, where it's basically just a bunch of draw, you Elise, and then you copy Ysera, and you just keep playing Yseras, and you go ahead and just put a whole bunch of dragons in your deck, and then your board fills up with dragons. So it's very similar to King Pharaoh's, that he just plays a bunch of minions based on spells. Ysera just plays a bunch of dragons based on what you get out of the portals, right? I believe the Embiggen Druid's like low tier 2, high tier 3, and then the Value Druid is again around that same spot. It's not a really popular deck, but whenever I play Druid, they're going to be playing this card, so it's I'm sure going to be a Druid card that's going to be very good for the time being and for the foreseeable future, just because of how powerful she is. She's not, like I said, found in any tier 1 or tier 2 decks, but I believe she's a safe keep. If you have Ysera, I definitely wouldn't disenchant her because she's just a really good card, and I'm sure we're going to see her in a ton of different Druid decks in the future, whether it be some sort of quest Druid, dragon Druid, value Druid, control Druid. I mean, she just kind of, she fits in it all. The only thing she doesn't fit in is an aggressive style Druid. Taking a look at some Hunter, we have Dragonbane. This is a super good card, found in aggressive style Hunter decks, found in Secret Hunters decks, found in Quest Hunter decks, found in Highlander Hunter decks. So definitely a safe keep and a worthy craft. The ability to it's one of those cards that if it doesn't die, you kind of just win the game. Every time you play this card, your opponent's going to do everything in their power to get rid of it, and those cards are normally pretty good cards, which I believe Dragonbane is, and it's a really good one to keep and or craft if you're interested in the Hunter classes. We have Varanus. At first glance, you look at this card, you're like, it's okay, but it's not really great. I played this in our Quest Hunter deck. I played this in our Highlander Hunter deck. I played this in our Dragon Hunter deck. All of them, this card, every time I had him in my hand, he did wonderful things. Being able to basically, he's a huge statted minion, he's a dragon, and he has a wonderful ability of basically Hunter's marking everything on your opponent's side of the build or board. So you just have easy cleanups. Hunter has a great way of dealing 1 damage to a ton of minions, whether that's Unleash the Hound, Desert Spear, Arcane Shot, Rapid Fire. There's just a ton of ways for Hunter to deal with the minions that go to 1 HP, and he was just, every time I played the card, it felt good. So I would have to say he's a good safe craft. I wouldn't disenchant him because he's just a good Hunter card, and he's found in a variety of different Hunter decks. So moving to Mage, we have Shen. This is what we like to call a really fun card. She fits into the most recent video. We made like 2 or 3 videos on it. It was the Quest Miracle, like, just combo Mage. We just do stupid things, and the deck's a ton of fun, really hard to play, but just not that competitive. It's not a tier 1, tier 3, tier even 4 deck probably, but it was just a blast. So if you opened her up, I'm sorry, she doesn't really fit into any good Mage deck right now, so it's probably a pretty safe disenchant. I think the deck that she fits into, she's like one of those cards that like your deck has to kind of revolve around her, and she's just not good enough for that to be a thing. She's more of just a card you can add in there that's cool, but if you have 400 dust and you're wanting to craft like 1 or 2 epics for a tier 1 deck, and those epics make significant impacts and Shen doesn't, it's kind of hard to hold on to her if you're a budget-based player. But not to say she's not a cool card. We have Malygos, Aspect of Magic. This is a really good Mage Dragon card. It's found in any sort of Dragon Mage, first of all, and it's found in any sort of Control or Highlander Mage. And it's going to be a card that we're probably going to see for a while now, just because of how the power level of the spells that it gives you are really, really good. We know Highlander is not really going anywhere because we have Zephyrus, we have Ronaldo, we've got now Malygos, we've got the new Alex, right? So I don't think Highlander decks are going to go away anytime soon, and this just adding to what the Highlander Mage can do is just another just slice of the cake for it. So definitely a really good card, safe craft, and I would not disenchant. Taking a look at some Paladin, both of these cards are kind of under the same boat. Paladin isn't a really popular class right now. Not a lot of people are playing it. If they are playing it, it's mostly this like aggressive mech version or this Highlander Paladin, both of which don't really strike me as surprisingly strong decks. This guy is a very slow sort of control card, which control decks literally don't exist right now besides Quest Priest. And this guy, again, fits into some sort of control dragon big paladin, which, again, doesn't currently exist right now. So out of these two cards, I'm leaning towards this one being the better one, because if control does get some help in the future expansions and or some tweaks to some aggro decks to make control more viable, this would be a really good control card. This one is kind of more of I see this being like, some people play it, some people don't. It's more of like a card that's really good in the early stages. It kind of like dries up during the end, but it's still a 4-mana 8/8 dragon. But neither of these cards are found in any tier 1 or tier 2 decks. So, I mean, if you're looking to build something else, neither of these cards are really like that great. Moving to Priest, we have the Mind Flayer. This card is fucking trash. I tried testing this deck, or tried testing a deck, putting this in here, multiple different kind of Priest decks, whether it's Quest Priest, Control Priest, Death Rattle Priest, Early Game Priest, Aggro Death Rattle Priest, and this guy is just, it's too, if this could choose any minion, it would be much better, but the fact this has to be an enemy minion, so you basically are playing this on a board where your opponent has a really good minion, and then you're using this on there. This card can be silenced. It's not that big. The Death Rattle has to proc for it to even occur. This doesn't deal with your opponent's minion that they played, so your opponent plays a big minion, you play this and copy it when it's dead, but it's like, okay, well, I'm dead because I didn't kill the minion, because this card doesn't do anything. So this is not a good Priest card, and it may be good in the future, but I wouldn't want to bank on it because it's just trash right now. This card not even being crafted kind of can tell you how many times I've seen it on ladder and how interested I am in playing it. But the thing about this card that strikes me as like, it's a cool card, not a good card, is that you're playing all the cards that your opponent played last turn, which means you're still a turn behind. When I first reviewed this card, I said the exact same thing, and every time I see this card played, it's like, it's a cool card, and sometimes it works out, but it's not like, for 8-mana 8/8, you could play something else that really just wins you the game or like brings things back. But doing just what your opponent did the following turn, if they don't do anything, you're fucked. And if they do something and it's really good and you need to deal with it, you can't play this guy because it's only going to copy what they did. So it's in only very niche situations that playing everything your opponent played will allow you to clear what your opponent played, right? So really not that good of a card. Not played right now, not found in any deck right now, just more of a fun card. Same thing with this guy. Looking at Rogue, we got Waxdread. Again, I don't even have this guy. I thought I did. Apparently not. Is found in no Rogue decks that I've seen on ladder. The problem is that the Rogue normally wins before you'd even draw an extra candle. It's more of an RNG card. So sometimes like you have this guy in your deck and it's awesome. But right now, if Rogue had more like dragon synergies and things that like made this pop out or things that made this really good, sure. But right now, like Rogue, if they're gonna run the Death Rattle package, they're playing Warbringer, and that effect occurs immediately. Everything in their hand gets +3/+3, and or they play the Whelp where they get a 7/7, and they can see that benefit right away. While this is more of like a control Rogue where you just keep getting the 7/5 back, but it just doesn't have a lot of support. I've seen multiple people try to play some sort of Waxdread control dragon, Galakrond Rogue, and it just doesn't work out. Like they get Waxdread twice or whatever, you just deal with it. It's not that powerful of a card, and like the fact that you have to draw the candle, which is a cool mechanic. This guy, on the other hand, is really good, and at first, he looks 6 mana 4/4. You're like, but the ability for not only to have the effect of killing and destroying a minion inside of another minion, like our old Vilespine Slayer, is just really, really good. Plus, it just destroys all copies of it. So this is really good against Shaman because they play, the doggo card, so you can just kill all the dog tokens, or they make their 8/8s, you kill all the 8/8s. You're playing against maybe a Shirvala Paladin, they play Shirvala, you flick on Shirvala, kills all the copies of the Shirvala, because they probably Sathravad it, which if the Paladin's good, they won't play Shirvala in the first place, but some of them are bad and they will. So, I mean, Flick is just stupid good. And also, if you're playing against the Priest players that think they're really cool and memey and they play like the bird card, the Albatross, you can just play your own Albatross and then use this on Albatross and destroys all the Albatrosses in your deck, which we did in our Rogue video, which we will be hopefully posting soon. But yeah, this card is just really good, really safe Rogue craft, found in all of the Rogue decks right now, and I will see I'm sure we'll see this card in rogue decks for a good while to be. So moving to Shaman, we have Bandersmosh. This is really, really, really fun card. In my opinion, you can throw this into any Shaman deck, and it makes the deck better. There's just a lot of legendaries that it cost it for, and when they're statted in 5 mana 5/5 is just really good, and you can kind of hold them on to him until the situation in which he's excellent and you can play, and it's just like board swinging depending on which legendary you get. The only problem is he's a terrible, terrible, terrible top deck. Worst part about this card is he's potentially a 5 mana 5/5. Because if you're in the late stages of the game and you're top decking, you get this guy, you're like, fuck. But almost any other time, this guy is really, really good. So I consider this a safe craft, and I consider this you don't want to disenchant it because he's just a really fun card and it's really good. Nithog, this card's fucking trash. You can disenchant this guy, you can do dirty things with the dust that he provides you. You do not need to play this card. Some people opted to put him in their quest shaman or some sort of battle cry shaman deck. The thing is that the eggs that it gives you, why do you want to fill up your board with 0/3 eggs when you can fill them up with other minions that are just better? You can just play better cards that do better things. Open the card, you don't want to disenchant them and you want to put them in your quest for deck for fun. That's totally acceptable. For those of you who are like, you're ballers on a budget, this is not a good card. You do not need this guy in your collection. You can send him to the scrapyard. Moving to Warlock, we have Felgorge. Really good card, found in almost every single control / mid-range / invoke Warlock deck right now. Drawing 4 cards and increasing your hand size to 12 in a body of a 4/4 is pretty good. The Warped. I like this card a lot personally. There's a lot of decks that don't currently run this guy just because he's pretty slow. You play this, you really don't do anything else that turn. If your opponent can deal with him in a cheap spell, you paid 8 mana for something not that great because it's dealt with very easily. But on the other hand, if your opponent cannot deal with this card, he is game winning because if they decide to attack you directly, they're going to summon a bunch of 6/6s. And if they opt to try to kill this guy, he's got 12 HP, which is a lot, and 4 attack most of the time kills a lot of shit. So in my opinion, this is a safe keep. If you want to craft him, like I said, he's not really found. He's not a necessity in the Warlock deck, so you can get around not having this guy. But if you already have him, I don't think 400 dust is worth giving this guy up. My personal opinion, if you don't want to play a Warlock deck without him, because he's obviously a control card, he's not an aggro card, guys. So if you're only sort of aggro decks, not your choice, but I like the card a lot. Moving to Warrior, we have Ankar. This is an exclusive to Pirate Warrior, so for those of you very aggressive Pirate Warrior players, or I've even seen Pirate Galakrond Warrior, which I don't get. I still think it's just you want to run Pirates or you want to run Galakrond, one or the other, not both, but I've seen it. It's a really, 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 really good weapon. Stupid good. It's being able to attack and draw a pirate from your deck every turn is stupid good. But like I said, it's only found in Pirate Warrior. If you don't like Pirate Warrior, don't want to play Pirate Warrior, and don't like aggro decks, this is not the card for you, but that is the one deck it is found in, and it's really freaking good in that one deck. And I suppose that Pirate Warrior is going to keep getting stuff, basically, because they printed cards like this. So I'm assuming the next expansion, we will see more pirate stuff. So maybe, in my opinion, it's a pretty safe keep. Moving to Deathwing, I like this card a lot. It's an 8 mana 12/12 dragon, so he's a big boy, and it's attack all other minions. Some Galakrond, invoke Galakrond decks run this guy, some don't. Almost every control warrior runs this card. Right now, unfortunately, control decks are not the favorite in this meta. It's a very tempo-oriented, very fast-paced meta we're in right now. And like I said earlier, the only control deck that has survived is Quest Priest, based on how much AoE it has, the taunt minions, the resurrects. I mean, it's stupid, but that's the meta we're in. So unfortunately, this guy isn't found in any really, really good deck, nor is he a staple in any really, really good deck. But in my opinion, he's a card that if you do enjoy playing a warrior, whether you're playing aggressive style warrior or control warrior, this guy fits in both. An 8 mana 12/12 is a card that you can play as your last big boy in a tempo oriented warrior deck, like your invoke Galakrond warrior, and he'll do well. So moving to the neutral legendaries, we have, let's go to the Golden Frizz. In my opinion, a ton of people are playing her. A lot of people are enjoying the dragon decks. She's found mainly in Embiggen Druid, Handlock, and Highlander Mage, because there is a lot of dragons in there as well. She's one of those cards that if played on curve, she's really, really good. She's not played on curve, she loses value throughout the entire game because the less cards you have in the deck and the less cards you reduce, the less powerful she is. I hate this kind of design where if you play this card on turn 4, it's just like, all right, you're smooth sailing for the rest of the game. You draw her later, it's like, eh. She's a pretty safe craft. You could just throw in any dragon deck. But in my opinion, is she a staple in dragon decks? No, because half the time you don't even draw her, right? She helps your dragons, but she doesn't make the deck do what it's supposed to do. She's just a kind of an extra spice that you can throw in there that if drawn early half the time can really help you win some games you weren't supposed to. But I don't think it's a card that you absolutely need to have. But if you happen to have her, you enjoy dragon decks, she's a safe keep. Krunks, not Galakrond. The two just pair together. Krunks, Galakrond, same fucking card. Definitely a safe craft. If you like any sort of Galakrond deck, which 4 out of the 5 are pretty powerful. The Warrior, the Shaman, and the Warlock ones are just really, really good. The Rogue one is, my opinion, the most balanced, and that's why it's like not as powerful, because the other ones are just crazy powerful. And then we have the Priest one, which just sucks wieners. But overall, Krunks, super safe craft, super safe keep, is found in every sort of Galakrond deck. Chuma. A lot of people looked at this guy as a meme card. I look at this guy as some sweet, sweet, succulent potential. This guy fits in Token Druid. He fits in Zoodex. He fits in Face Hunter. He fits in Quest Hunter. This guy fits in basically any sort of aggressive deck that wants to go wide on board. Do you need to craft him to make that deck really good? You don't, but if you happen to have him and you do enjoy any of these decks that I just listed, if you're looking to craft him, I'd hold off, but if you already have him, throw him in a couple decks, see how he does. And I think you'll be surprised. Moving to Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, super safe craft, really, really good card. Again, I hate cards that are printed like this. They're too swingy for me. It's a 9 mana, it's a Highlander deck card. So if your deck has no duplicates, add 2 random dragons to your hand, they cost 0. So, a lot of the times you get some pretty good dragons. Some of the times you get some fucking insane dragons. And then sometimes you get some really, really bad dragons. So I've had, games where my opponent's at 1 HP and they get Nazari. And you're just like, okay, well, now I lose. And then other games, they get 2 fairy dragons. And you're like, okay, I guess I win. Did that do anything with skill? No. But, that's what the card does. Sometimes it high rolls out of its mind and sometimes it doesn't. And that's what makes this card really, really good, because a lot of the time, most of the time, you're going to get something fairly decent because you get 2 dragons, not 1. So really, really safe craft. It's found in, like I said, a variety of different decks. There's a ton of great Highlander decks. Whether we're looking at Mage, Warlock, Rogue, Paladin, there's all these different Highlander decks that are all really good because they have Zephrys, they have Dragon Queen, and that covers all of the new legendary cards that came from Descent of Dragons. So happen to miss out on anything, if you'd like to elaborate on anything, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. That's what it's there for. And those of you who are looking for some more additional information that I may have not covered, the comment section is always a great place to look in these kinds of videos. It is, at least. So with that, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the epic Disenchant guide videos. I'm Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.